Hello everybody and welcome to the Black Bear Ivan Hobby channel. Today I'm going to be painting the first of many miniatures from the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood board game by Triton Noir. If you just got the board game and are feeling a little lost in the animus, just like our little penguin friend back there, stick around and let's get started. Alright, first up we have ladders. As there are quite a few ladders in this game, I mount them on this extremely sophisticated miniature painting tool called a stick and double-sided tape. The ladders come with bases, and I wanted to focus on getting the base colors to match those of the tiles, which are kind of a bleach bone color. On this other tile, you can also see some green peeking through the cracks, which helps to break up the bone color. So I go ahead and spray them with a base coat of Wraithbone, and I wanted to use a lighter brown for the leather, so I used Nazdreg yellow. Just slop on that paint and you can see that it gives this nice sort of sun-touched wood color. Contrast paints are really great for batch painting, as you can just slop one coat and leave it to dry. Okay, I'm waiting for the contrast to dry and I get started on the bases, and to do that I use an all-over soft tone wash on my test model here, which I think looks pretty good, but I wanted to add a bit more variation, so I put on a few dabs of green tone, which hints at some moss or grass. Okay, so I'm going to take some of that soft... Yeah, that wasn't soft tone. That was the Nazdreg yellow I was using just now, but you know it happens, and yeah, I could redo it, but I'll just lighten it up with some dry brushing later. So yeah, okay. Alright, so now I'm going to paint the little pouches at the base of the ladders, and for this I use good old Snakebite leather. I chose to paint this the last so that I can cover up any overspill from the previous steps at one go, but you also have to be careful not to let any of that paint bleed out onto the base. After a while, I decided to try a slightly different color with Gore-Grunta fur just to get a little bit of variation. So that's pretty much the letters done. Comparing what we've got against the tiles, I think we're pretty close, but we can still lighten it up a bit. So I get out the Ushapti bone and give the bases a quick dry brush. After painting the bezels black, the letters are officially done. Okay, next up we have the treasure chest. As with the letters, they are also base coated in Wraithbone, which will help give a warmer tone. I paint the main panels Flesh Terror red to tie in the chest with the assassin color scheme, which also brings a nice pop of color to the game pieces. Next, I paint the gold trim on the chest using Balthazar Gold. This is one of my favorite colors as it applies really nicely and is not too shiny to get a slightly grimier look. Next, for the straps, I use Cygor brown. I would normally use a lighter brown like Steel Legion drab for leather, but I wanted to experiment a little with this darker brown, which I felt was closer to the assassin color scheme, as you can see from the box, which has a lot of black. To finish this up, I put a strong tone wash on the gold for some simple aging and wedging. I'm not overly careful with this, as the strong tone can also help to shade the red portions. And with that, the treasure chests are tabletop ready. Let's go see how our penguin is doing. Okay, got away. Thank goodness for that hiding spot that was in the right place at the right time. Speaking of hiding spots, let's take a look at how we can paint one up as well. For the hiding spots, I was a little confused as to the material it was made of, so I wanted to take a quick look at some reference pictures. So I got onto Google and I'm quickly able to find the reference picture, and it looks like it is also made of a bleach bone kind of material. So I go ahead with my usual method of painting these types of materials with a all-over wash of soft tone, and not forgetting to add a little bit of green tone here and there for some color variation. I also add a little bit more green around the hanging leaves to set the scene for painting the overgrowth later on. For the drapes, I'll be using contrast paints again, and as you can see, my pot needs a little bit of a shake, which happens from time to time when you don't use your contrast paints that often. So anyway, for the first hiding spot, I go ahead with this bright Militarum green, trying to control the flow of the paint and making sure that it doesn't bleed. For the second hiding spot, I'm going with the bright Primary Blood Angels red, which I think looks really nice. For my third and last hiding spot, I decide to use Shyish purple, which looks a little dark while in the pot, but when applied it gives this really nice and rich velvety purple. Okay, with all the drapes done, all I need to do is give a quick dry brush with Wraithbone to help pick out some of the details on the hiding spots. For the foliage, I use the more vibrant green orc flesh to help pick out all this lovely vegetation that is coming out of the hiding spots. And lastly, just to give it a nice quick shade, I'm using strong tone to really bring out the earthiness of this vegetation. And with that, our hiding spots are all done. Last but not least, it's the fast travel station. For this piece, I wanted to try something a little special. When I was googling a reference scheme, I found a picture that had very nice mood lighting emanating from within the tunnels, and I wanted to try and emulate that on the game piece. So firstly, for the bleached stone, we once again start with an all-over wash using soft tone. We then add our usual touches of green tone staining just to give a little bit of color variation. I really like the subtle hints of green that show on the stone. For the roof, I wanted to add a little more color again, and this time I used Akhelion green, which is this really nice deep turquoise color. You often see it used on Orthodox churches, but I'm not overly concerned about the historical accuracies here. So what I want to try and do now is to paint in these spaces in between the columns to give the miniature a little bit of an illusion of depth, and to do that, I'm using Steel Legion drab. So this was an experiment for me, and if you take a look at the model side by side here, I think it helps. Well, we'll see. So now we'll be moving on to painting the inner glow in these models, and to do that I'll be using an airbrush. So I start off by using modeler's tape to mask off the gate area. So I start by using bronze flesh tone, which is this particularly rich yellow color, to paint the centermost and brightest spot of this light source. I gradually add some Steel Legion drab into the mix to gradually blend the colors down towards a darker brown. There are quite a few steps in between, but in the end I end up using Rhinox Hide and maybe a little bit of Chaos Black as the last layer on the outermost areas of the gate, and this is to create the illusion of a light source coming from within the gate. Alright, the moment of truth as I peel off the mask, and I think that's not too bad. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. To complete the illusion, I paint up the rails with Abaddon Black, which simulate the shadow cast due to the inner light source. After that's done, we're going to be giving the mini a quick dry brush of Wraithbone to pick out the details on the outermost edges. After the dry brush, I also have to touch up the spaces in between the columns with Steel Legion drab. And that's it! Hiding spots and fast travel stations are done and ready for our assassins to navigate the city of Venice. I hope that this video has been entertaining and that you maybe found something that you can use in your own painting adventures. I'm Black Bear Ivan and thanks for watching.